All right, FP fam, lost a legend today. Obviously, just found out about it this morning. Bob Uecker passed away at the age of 90. We're going to dedicate a good chunk of time later in the show to a guest joining us to reminisce. But we've all got something to say about Uecker. I met him. They say don't meet your heroes. That's BS. He is a legend. He was even nicer, funnier, and you just name the positive adjectives. All of that comes your way when you think about Bob Uecker. Obviously, you came across him many times throughout your career.
Well, Kratz played for the Brewers, so he probably.
All right, you go first, Kratz. Yeah, you spent time with Uecker.
You hear about guys like that, and you're like, okay, he can kind of put on a face. Saw him for an entire year. He was the exact same guy, day in and day out, away from the field, at the field, in the booth. And I think that's what his genuine spirit always just was permeating through the radio, through, his interactions. And I'll never forget, my son still brings it up. When we were in spring training, Uecker invited him up. He's like, oh, hey, during the season, he's like, you can do a whole, second inning to fifth inning with me in the booth to my now 15-year-old son, Ethan. And he still brings it up. He's like, man, Dad, if you hadn't gotten cut that year, I could have gone up there and been up there in the booth with you for a whole game.
Oh, man, Kratz, you blew it.
I blew it.
That's super cool, though. And he meant it, right? He'd be like, yeah, come on up. Super cool. So we'll spend some more time on Uecker later on because we're going to dedicate some time to him and get some guests on to really reminisce. So just wanted to obviously, share our love and our thoughts with everyone around him, anyone that's known Bob Uecker and, of course, his family during a difficult time. All right, so we'll try and hop to some news. In the meantime, let's charge.
Charging the mound.
Pete Alonso market heating up. If you watched or listened to Fair Territory live right before our show, you heard Ken Rosenthal delivering the news that Pete might be linked to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Everyone's linked to the Blue Jays nowadays.
They're in the mix.
They're becoming the new Red Sox. The Blue Jays are becoming the Red Sox. Well, we tried. Well, we were in the mix, but this doesn't make sense because they have a first baseman. I mean, I know he's only there for 1 year, but would this be a 1 year opt out for Alonso? They could lose Vladdy and Pete after 1 year. That would be tough.
And their GM if they don't put a better product on the field. So you might as well go all out.
Well, go all out for what they'll let you do.
Right. So isn't that
but
adding a bat
where are they
like
going to
this?
play? Pete wants to play first. Vladdy wants to play first. I mean, I know Vladdy played third base a little bit last year, but you're not putting him at third base for 160 games.
You'd have the mix of first, third, Kratz, and DH.
He said it early in the offseason. He said he's willing, and the team said Vladdy's willing to play third base. How realistic that is. Come on. But first and third, both those guys in the same lineup. Thump.
It helps. When does a player become a value when he's being, quote, disrespected on the free agent market? And then suddenly the front office gets together and goes, wait a second, we're going to get potential 45 home runs for this cost?
Well, if you can get them for the right price.
Yeah. Well, you know what the price is these days. Not the exact
But if you can get them for
numbers,
the right price and the right years, that's
three.
the key. The years is the key. 3 years?
I bet
I
he gets
guarantee you
four.
that if Pete goes to Toronto, he's going to get one of two things: a 1 year high, super high AAV to prove it again, or a 3 to 4 year deal with, again, a super high AAV with opt outs. Because he's not going to go to Toronto. I mean, listen, Pete needs to be in New York. I'm sorry. Like Toronto, I get it, but is this posturing? How do we really know Toronto's in? Because they might have made like, hey, we might be in, guys. So everybody get excited, like they were on Shohei, like they were on Soto, like they were been on everybody. Now, if Sasaki goes there, maybe things change.
But also, welcome.
God, can we find out where he's going to?
Soon,
please?
But welcome to the market, right? So if you're the Mets and
Well, then why
you
not
have
sign
a stare
Bregman
down-
too?
Who?
Bregman,
The
the
Jays?
Blue Jays.
So
Both?
Bregman would play second.
Sign both of them.
So you're gonna have Bregman at second, Vladdy at third, Pete at first, and Bo at short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
One
though.
of those
But-
guys can DH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Pete has said he doesn't want to do that yet.
No.
And Vladdy doesn't
How
want
much
to do
is
that.
that?
Vladdy is definitely not doing that when he's about to hit the market, and he's, what, 26?
That's why it's a weird fix. Weird fit.
It is
What
a
if-
weird fit.
What if the rumors we heard about the Mets checking in on Vladdy were part of this?
No, they're not. I mean, Ken mentioned it already. The plan is for them to keep Vladdy. It's not a play. Could it be a play? Sure. Is it likely? No. I don't think it's a play. I think they're trying to figure out a scenario where they would have both of them. Or Pete's just trying to inch his way back to a number, and you need to have a market.
You
You
need
need
to
to
have
have
somebody
other
else.
teams involved.
How many times do you see this happen where leaks, I'm going to use air quotes, which I hate, leaks happen? God, I look good in my GM attire, don't I?
Your quarters it. Play GM for us today.
You know it's chilly. It's
Mhm.
chilly if I have long sleeves on.
True.
60 here today. 65. It's chilly. But how many times have we seen this happen where leaks happen and it's to bump up a market of a player?
It is, but here's the thing with a market. You cannot believe what you're hearing in the noise, and then sometimes it does happen. Sometimes you then look up, and a few hours later you go, damn, they did it. The Blue Jays signed Pete Alonso for 3 years, $90 million with opt-outs after each season.
Yeah.
That's the risk you take as the Mets, right?
That
If
is
the
the
Mets are
risk.
fighting with Pete over,
The Mets sound
Name
like
that
they're
money.
fighting over themselves.
well, that's what they think they are. But then do you believe that there's a legit market surfacing? That's what they have to play a game of chicken with. If Pete says, hey, this is my number, let's say we're just using easy math right now, it's 3 years, 90, and the Mets will only go 3 years, 75, and the Blue Jays are like, we'll give you 3 years, 95. And he's telling the Mets that, they either can believe him or not. But if he says, hey, last call, or I'm
We'll
going
find
to
out.
Toronto, we'll find out. Does this help Toronto become more of a legit threat in the division, get them back on track? Or is the rest of the AL East
They
too
still
tough
need more.
if they get Pete? Yeah.
It helps.
It helps, yeah, but they need more for me.
Okay. More what? More offense, right?
Pitching too. They still need bullpen help.
Bullpen help.
Their
Yep.
starters are good, but
Yeah.
their bullpen help is still not there.
Okay. See, this would start to,
This is when you need
Form
to go
a-
Tanner Scott,
yes.
Pete.
They just got Hoffman. That helps a
Yeah,
lot.
but he's going to be a starter. He wants to be a starter.
No, he's going to be a reliever.
Oh, he is for sure.
Yeah.
Not
Not for
with the
sure,
Jays.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be a reliever. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
If he becomes a starter, all those bonuses that they cooked in there, he would just soar past those bonuses.
That's right. He might be a multi-inning reliever.
Hmm.
But, okay, Kratz, Pete Alonso, Jeff Hoffman, another bullpen piece. When do we hit a point where we go, okay, I could see this turning into a playoff team again?
Another bullpen piece and Jack Flaherty.
You need another
But
starter?
You lost Kikuchi. I'm not saying Kikuchi was doing awesome for him last year, but the team didn't. I think he would have an upgraded year over what Flaherty did what Kikuchi did for him last year, and they missed out on the playoffs. Like, they're looking to make the playoffs. They're not. They can't. I don't think they can ever have a roster as good as the Yankees. They're just different than the Yankees. They're going to go and get it. They're going to pick it. They're going to. So you got to just kind of double down on what you already do well, pitching and defense. And you sign Pete. Now you get a all-star bat in Pete and a MVP candidate in a walk year in Vladdy. Whoa, boy. And Bo's going to bounce back.
Yeah, I'm looking at this roster right now, and offense has been the problem. They've been an elite defensive team the last couple of years. Let me read you the non-Pete lineup right now from Fangraphs. Springer leading off. He's been in massive decline. Bo Bichette, obviously coming off a very down year. Vladdy Jr. was a stud last year. They have DH Will Wagner, who was acquired in the Houston deal, very unproven. Alejandro Kirk, catching, hitting fifth.
Yeah, he struggled last year,
He
too.
struggled too. Andres Jimenez struggled too, hitting sixth. Ernie Clement at third, hitting seventh. Nathan Luke's in center field because Varsho's out to start the year. He had the surgery on the rotator cuff, and then Joey Lopofito in left to end up the lineup that they have drawn up right now. That's not a good lineup.
It's not a great lineup. It's not a division-winning lineup. I promise you that.
I could make a pretty strong case that Pete plus Santander. Again, will they do it? Not likely. But weren't they saying at the beginning of the offseason that they want to do things a little crazy? I need two.
They always say they're going to do things crazy, but it never works out.
Do you know why?
Because nobody goes there.
But do you know why? I got some insight on that the
Why?
other day. They make equal offers.
Oh, they never go above.
No. And sometimes people will be like, I'll go there if you give me a little more. They did it for Springer, but apparently they haven't really done it lately. And so when they are in on players, they get to pretty close what the computers say and what the league says that player's value is, but they need to offer more for a variety of reasons, including that they're not that good right now. That's a problem.
You got to do what the Tigers did in the Nats. We talked about this the other day. The Nats and the Tigers, when they were at the point of we're going to be good, Tigers overpaid Pudge and Maglio to get people to say, oh, the Tigers are going to be a threat. They went to the World Series in 2006, right? Nats did it with Jason Worth just to get somebody to go there because they couldn't get anybody to go there. It's like, all right, well, Jason Worth, we're going to pay him $100+ million. Guess what they did? It got people to go there. Then they ended up with Bryce and Strasburg and all these guys. But it was an exciting place where people wanted to go. Corbin, Scherzer, right? Now, did they overpay? Probably, but they got them to go there and they end up winning a World Series. So is it worth it? I think so, but you got to pick the right guys and you got to be willing to overpay. If it's not a popular destination like LA, some of the New Yorks possibly, even, maybe the Texases at some point, but like Boston, guess what? You're going to have to overpay to get guys now because you're not winning every year. If you win every year, guys are like, okay, I can overlook a few $1 million to go play there.
Teoscar Hernandez.
Yes, to go back to LA.
I'm in LA. I love it. He claims that he got better offers, but he took less money to stay in LA, and then people complain. But you're complaining about a machine that has been consistently good, treats their players well, and that's why players would sign there for less. I have to throw this in because I've never said this on the show, but if we do have a salary cap someday, that will happen everywhere because money will matter less because you'll shrink salaries. So players will just form super teams even more so because they'll be like, oh, it's only a few $1 million difference on a long-term deal. I'm going to sign with the Dodgers. So you think that's going to solve the problem? It would actually make it worse, in my opinion, but okay. Just throwing that out there.
That's kind of what happens in the NBA.
Exactly.
Right? And then they have all these exceptions where you can get a veteran exception, the Larry Bird exception, the guy wear a jockstrap extension.
Yeah.
This guy wears goggle exception. This guy has a upside-down headband exception. I mean, it's like, all right, there's always exceptions. I mean, the Boston Celtics have like a $700 million payroll. I know it's not that high, but it's crazy because they have all these exceptions. And guess what they did? They won!
Exactly. So some people think that's going to solve the world's problems. I do not. But I do think it's interesting that Pete's got a suitor. You know what I root for, Kratz? I root for chaos. And chaos means as much as I would love to see Pete be a Met for life and all of that, if we're getting this kind of game going, I want to see him go somewhere else at this point and say, hey, you didn't think I was worth this? Stick it. I'm going to go put up 50 homers a year for the Blue Jays, or maybe just one season and then hit the market again.
Angry polar bears are the most dangerous types of bears.
That's it. That's the quote that we're going to use on social media. Nailed it. All right, so we'll take a quickie break, and then we'll actually go over another team in the Mets division, the Philadelphia Phillies. We've gotten a lot of questions about them lately, so we figured let's bring on Scott Franzke again, the radio broadcaster, to talk us through any changes they have left before spring training. Some people are like AJ, they're sick of hearing the same few names. This happens every offseason where you get a few names remaining and then they get a ton of attention. Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Roki Sasaki to an extent, although that decision does have a deadline to it. It's just the nature of the offseason. It's
because they're the best players. And also, there's nothing happening.
Correct.
We've talked about it. I've talked about it till I'm bluer in the face and Kratz's hat is right now. It's like, Roki Sasaki, we've worn out. Like, we don't need to talk about him. Nothing's happening. Mm-hmm. Nothing's happening.
Well, he had meetings.
Meeting. He already knows where he's going, okay? He didn't need no meeting.
Why
do you have to have another meeting with the Dodgers? He knows the Dodgers guys. He knows the Padres guys. What, so we can sit down and get a free meal? I hope Darvish paid for that meal.
But he doesn't know all of the players. Like, I don't know who was there for each team.
Okay, so you know who Freddie Freeman is, you know who Yamamoto
knows who
is,
they
you know
are.
who Shohei is, you know who Mookie Betts are.
Has he gone to dinner with them?
He had a meeting with the Dodgers. I'm assuming those guys were there.
This time, not last time.
Dude, come on. Do you think, like, Kratz, let me ask you this. If you're that level of a free agent, does it really matter? You're like, I'm going to get along with these guys. I'm going to do my best to get along with these guys. How many times you walk into a clubhouse and be like, I'm not going to sign there because that guy was mean to me once? That's never going to happen.
I don't think he has that interaction necessarily where it's like, oh, he was mean because he hasn't played in the league. He's not a free agent. So for him, it really is about fit. What if he just goes and hangs out with the stars and Manny Machado's a turd? Or, Mookie Betts chews with his mouth open. You're sitting there going, wait, I got to hang out with this guy who yaps all the time? There's some guys you would have loved to have known they weren't how they were before you joined the team.
In a 3-hour meeting, everyone's going to be on their bestest behavior. No one's going to be out there doing stuff crazy in a 3-hour meeting. Come on. I mean, even Scott can clean it up for 3 hours.
Braun or Franzke?
Scott's clean all the time.
Braun.
Oh, okay. We got another Scott coming up, so just clarifying.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, anyone can sit at a dinner.
You're saying they can fake it for a few hours.
For 3 hours?
Yeah.
You don't get a feel.
You're not getting the real
The bottom line
person.
is, listen,
I get that.
he's going to go where he wants to go. The money's about the same everywhere.
Yeah.
So he's either going to go to one of the three places, and that's it. And he's going to pick, and the choice is the choice. And if he goes there and he hates it, guess what? The Dodgers can do.
Yeah.
Trade him, because other teams would be dying for him.
And he's not going to hate it.
It's 1.2
He's
million.
not making his decision on a 10-minute combo with Mookie Betts. Like, that's not
Exactly.
going to decide where he goes. All right, here we go. Fantastic Phillies radio broadcaster Scott Franzke joining us right now on FT to talk about the Fightins. Scott, great to have you back on. How's the offseason, and what are your evaluations so far on what the Phils have been up to?
Well, thanks for having me. Off-season's great. Always is. A little cold, but looking forward to spring training and seeing what the Phillies can do as far as trying to not only repeat in the division, but also see what they can do postseason-wise, because obviously that's where all the expectations are for this team.
Dang, how much are they paying you? Because look at that house you have. I'm enamored with
Nice.
that house. Look at that patio back there. I mean, I know you don't get to use it in Philly much, but during the summer,
That's not true.
I'm sure you get to go out there and enjoy that patio a little bit, right?
Yeah, my family does. I'm never here, but my family gets to enjoy it for sure.
You're definitely there. I've seen you. How fast you get out of the park. I mean, you're quick lickety split right in that Toyota Tacoma, just right through traffic. You're just beep, beep, beep,
You
beep,
got
beep,
it. You got it. I know all the back ways to get to avoid that Schuylkill Expressway. So if I have to.
Nobody knows what the Schuylkill is or how to spell it except for you and I. There's not as much travel as AJ has done. He has no idea what this Schuylkill Expressway is or the amount of traffic that it can or can't handle.
Think of any of those roads you've been on that the minute it opened, it was out of date and it was too crowded the minute it opened. And that's the way the Schuylkill is. And it can be bad at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It can also be bad at 11:30 at night. You just have no idea when.
Yeah, no doubt. Except for when you get back home at 3 a.m. I feel like that's always the best time from a road trip. It's just like straight up the street.
Usually that's pretty safe.
Yeah. So, do you think the Phillies, first of all, take us to the beginning of the offseason. Did you believe everything surrounding the Alec Boehm talk? Oh, well, he's available. And then since it came out that he could be available because teams are asking about him. Because you told me one time, you and I did radio for like a hot minute together for the Phillies. And you told me one time, you go, they just can't spend $20 million at every position. So if they get rid of Boehm, they might start doing that.
Right. They're getting close. I think they still have to. I mean, you just have to have some players of value that are, maybe playing above their pay grade. And I think Alec is still in that threshold, if you will. I mean, look, the guy drives in close to 100 runs, and I know he didn't have a great finish to last season, and it's understandable. Some people would call and ask, and I think the Phillies were willing to listen. I don't think it was a situation where they're actively shopping him per se, but obviously, as they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe there was some talk going on behind the scenes, but I don't think it was a situation where they were simply, putting him out there like, oh, we're going to, trade this guy because, we're going to get a haul back. I think they where they're at in the division, where they're at in sort of their timeline, this is a team that expects to contend. And I think you have to have a few players that are, under that $20 million, those superstar talents. You got to have some production from other places as well. And Alex, one of those type of guys.
Scott, talking about a guy who wasn't traded to a guy who was traded. How's this rotation sound? Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. Oh, yeah, Jesus Luzardo, and you have Taijuan Walker as your sixth. Is that the best rotation in baseball right now? Now, if they're healthy, obviously you have to always say if they're healthy. But is that the best rotation 1 through 5, maybe 1 through 6 in all of Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I have to believe it's right there. I mean, you can probably make arguments with different clubs around the league, obviously, but I just, if they're healthy, they give you a chance to win every single night. And we didn't get into talking about Andrew Painter, who's going to be on the radar at some point this season. And, there's a lot of expectation with regard to Andrew. He could be a guy in there if somebody does falter, if somebody does have injury issues, that he could take up some of those innings. His innings are going to be limited this year, but he might be another part of that mix. But, I mean, I think it's a tremendous starting rotation. I mean, for me, I still have some wonders about the bullpen. There's some question marks there, but from a starting standpoint, if they're not the best, you have to really work hard to convince me otherwise.
Where do they rank in the East? In the NL East, where do the Phillies rank today? Positive Scott Franzke hasn't seen them strike out 13 times in a game for the 9th time in the last month.
If they're all, again, if healthy, when you talk about that front line, to me, they're as good as any club when healthy. Now, if they've got to play to career norms, guys, if somebody like Bryce Harper has a really bad year for him, then that makes a big difference. But I think if they're playing to their career norms and if they're staying healthy, if they're on the field, they're as good as they're as good as the Braves. They're as good as the Mets. They are the defending champs now. They can say that, and everybody's going to be coming for them for sure. But I again, I think it's a situation where if guys are healthy and if they play to their career norms, they're going to be really good.
Who's looking at a bounce back year? If you were to put a pin in the board and say this guy's year is going to be awesome? You saw changes from Schwarber. Schwarber's batting average went up. His strikeouts went down a little bit, but his homers were down a little bit. So any of the guys that are going to be on the roster?
Well, maybe a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but I think Bryson Stott, showed a lot a couple of years ago, and he did not have a great year last year at the plate. I think a lot of that had to do with health. He was battling an elbow issue for most of the season, which didn't come out until the offseason. He kind of kept it under wraps, so to speak, and tried to play through it as best he could. He still played very well defensively, but I think offensively, Bryson Stott is a guy that I think could bounce back in a big way.
Yesterday, we had a conversation on biggest needs of the top 15 contending teams. The Phillies were on the list as outfield defense was their biggest need. I won't tell you what my opinion of it was watching, but I want to hear your reaction to Eno Sarris's article about that.
That the outfield defense is their biggest need?
Yes.
I think some outfield home runs wouldn't hurt. Some outfield power wouldn't hurt. Production, just in general, some slug from their outfield. Again, could their defense be better? Sure. I don't know what we're going to get from Kepler in left field on an everyday basis. Castellanos has worked hard. He works as hard as anybody on the club to try to stay sharp defensively, but he has limitations. Obviously, Marsh and Rojas in center field are really, really good. Rojas is among the best. So, it's not like 2 years ago where they're trotting out Kyle Schwarber in, 85, 90% of the games in left field or whatever it was early in the season. I mean, that kind of thing costs you a lot of runs. I'm not sure. I'd take a little more slug, I think, from the outfield in general.
Can you tell me if I'm right or wrong on this? Because you're in Philly and you
Probably
saw
not,
the whole
but-
Ben. Well, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But Ben Simmons, I compared on Twitter the Ben Simmons correlation of him hitting a three-pointer at a gym in the summer when the games weren't even going on to Johan Rojas's home runs in the Dominican Winter League. Is that a very fair Philly comparison? Who Rojas just won the Gold Glove, so credit to him.
Right.
Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always look and you always hope that he's going to get a little better offensively, but I don't know that's not what he's on the roster for. That wasn't what he was on the roster for last year. It was to catch everything. It was to get on base a little bit, and when he does, to steal bases. But him hitting home runs in the Dominican Winter League, that's all well and good. But I got to see him put down a few more bunts. And, for hits, learn how to do that. That's what I'd really like to see, because he's a guy that can change a game with his speed, but he's got to be on base to do that. So for me, I'd rather see him, lay down a few more and get a little more adept at that, and get a little more adept at just getting on base.
Scott, we heard Erik earlier say that he used to work with you on radio. What happened? Is it true that you just could not sit next to him for 3.5 hours every night? So you're like,
I noticed you guys are not in the same room.
Nope. See? Yep. Exactly.
That's the key.
That is the key, right?
Yeah. I mean, we all have our issues, and Kratzy's certainly got some of them. But no, he was an excellent partner, and he was a lot of fun to work with. And as you guys well know, he knows a thing or two about the game. So
when do you come to Clearwater? Because I know you want to escape that Philadelphia cold. When do you down to, what is it, Clearwater? How do they say it? Whatever they say up there in Philly.
Clearwater. Yeah, February 19th is my exit date from the cold here in Philly. But I go back and forth a lot. I mean, my kids are still young, so I work on the weekends mostly, early in spring training, do the games on radio there, and so I kind of sneak back and forth a lot. So I won't be totally out of the cold till we get to springtime.
Okay, what are you looking most forward to? What are you looking most forward to in spring training? Is it seeing the new players, which, okay, cool, or is it going to the beach? Is it getting out on the water? Like, what do you look forward to? Because the spring training for me, when I was in Arizona, I was like, I just want it over with, because there's no water, there's no trees, there's no grass. Just rocks and desert everywhere.
Golf.
Yeah, the travel's great.
Golf.
Yeah, but as a position player, you don't have a lot of time to golf.
True.
So it's a little bit different. But like in Florida, you can fish, you can go to the beach, you can go, there's a million more things to do in Florida for me.
Yeah. For me, and again, the Phillies are in a situation with their camp that there's not going to be a ton of storylines. There's no real jobs to be won necessarily. There's not a lot. We spend a lot of our springs now talking about the 25, 26, 27, 28th guy on the roster, that sort of thing. So in terms of storylines, there's not a whole lot to look forward to. But I just like getting down there and seeing the people you work with day in and day out, and you haven't seen most of them for the winter, and not just the other broadcasters, but all the club personnel and whatever, and just kind of being around it. I mean, for me, usually the first few days of spring training is a lot of fun. There's a lot of energy there. And then it, settles down a little bit, and you kind of get into the grind a little. And by the end, as you guys well know, you just want it to be over with and get on to the real games.
All right, so grade the offseason. Grade the Phillies offseason. Give us just like for you, I know you didn't get many A's and B's in school, so the grading scale is A, B, C, D, and F. It's not just C, D, and F, okay?
Okay, yeah. I'm unfamiliar with the A's and the B's. I thought it was a decent offseason. Obviously, the Luzardo pickup is big. I mean, has the potential to be big if he's healthy. Um, Jordan Romano is a guy who could be really good if he's healthy again. If he throws like he did a couple of years ago, that would be a real under the radar pickup for them. Obviously, it seemed like they were working with some. Obviously the payroll's incredibly high, so you can't just keep spending and spending and spending. Maybe you'd like to have seen him do, one or two more things. For me, I wouldn't mind seeing another bullpen arm be picked up to give a little more certainty to the back end of the bullpen. But again, those guys don't grow on trees, and so I'd probably be somewhere in the B range. It was good. I wouldn't say it was great. I'd give teams that had a great offseason maybe an A.
Bullpen arms don't grow on trees, but Taiwan Walker's as big as a tree. What are the chances
No
that you
doubt.
see him? You see him at the end of spring training. From what you've been hearing around, I think there's been comments that there's a chance he doesn't. Does he get a fair look in spring training? Does he make this team? Obviously not as a starter. They have a plethora with Painter waiting in the wings and Mick Abel, all those guys.
I think he'll get a fair shot to show that he can reclaim some velocity. Obviously, they tried that velo program during the season, and they sort of crash coursed it, I guess you could say. And it had some mild results, but I think they were looking forward to seeing if he got into a situation where he could do it throughout the offseason, build up his arm strength again, and reclaim some of that velocity. Because, again, he needs some of that in order to make his split anywhere near as effective as it was a couple of years ago. He's got to have some separation. So I think he'll get a look. I think a lot of those other guys are somewhat known commodities, right? You don't necessarily have to invest a lot of A-game innings for certain players that you know about. But Taiwan is one they don't know about. So I think they'll give him a long look. I mean, there's obviously a lot of money on the hook, on the line. So they got to be sure about it if they want to make a move, if they don't, carry him north and keep him on the roster. So, but I think they'll give him a fair shot.
Okay. Yeah, worth a shot. It's not a tradable asset at the moment. So we'll see what happens in spring training. Scott, great to have you on. We'll see you down in Clearwater when you get down here, all right?
Sounds good, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate the time. Yes,
See you,
the great
Kratzy.
Scott Franzke, Phillies Radio. Back with Jesse Winker news. He signed. Let's hold it for 2 minutes so we get the TV crowd in for the Winker news and some other things coming out about the Mets. But just to put a bow on this conversation, Phillies grade offseason right now, Scott said B. They got Luzardo. They got Kepler.
Helps.
Yeah. It's hard to go even C for me just because they did improve. You got a starter who's what? If he's feeling it, a number 3?
Yeah, I mean, he can be better than that. I mean, he's had some runs where he's really good.
Mm-hmm. And Kepler's good. I think he's going to be
Kepler's
good.
going to help. I think Joe Ross is a piece that can give him multiple innings.
Mm-hmm.
Romano will help their bullpen. And I think Kepler will help. He's, another left-handed bat there in Philly. They can play defense. He's okay defensively. I would say B.
Okay.
It's not an A because they didn't really get the superstar, which they don't really need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a solid offseason. We'll see.
Okay. Kratz, grade?
I'll go a little higher with a B+ because I didn't think they needed to do a lot. And I think what they ended up adding was awesome. Now, obviously, it would have been A+ if they did everything that they did and they landed that Kyle Tucker trade. But ifs and buts, right, AJ?
Yep.
That's right. I think they need to figure out why good pitching was beating them in the playoffs ever since the Diamondbacks switched their strategy 2 years ago.
That's why they were getting beat, because they switched their strategy.
The Diamondbacks did. Right.
Yeah,
The
no.
hitting philosophy thing that continued into last playoffs, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to question Kevin Long, though. He's pretty good at his
It's
job.
not Kevin. I'm just saying the weaknesses
he's the
have
hitting
been
coach.
exposed. Yeah, but certain players' weaknesses were exposed on the series you called, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
If
the Mets didn't really go heavy breaking ball like the Diamondbacks.
No, it was
did the year
different,
before.
but they solved them. I mean, they held them
Yeah,
back.
they solved them, but also nobody hit except Bryce. The rest of the team was off. Bryce and Nick were the only two that hit. Castellanos.
So what were the Mets? Was it
The rest of the
Mets?
team was awful.
Was it the Phillies slumping or the Mets thriving with a
It
game
might have been
plan?
a little bit of both, but they had that. They had the time off, so that was it.
Oh gosh, that one gets swept away because we had teams with time off that actually did fine this time. Yankees, Dodgers were in the World Series. They both had time off.
Yep.
The layoff conversation is over, but we've got a signing. We'll get right back to it. Give us 20 seconds, please. The segment's called Hot Corner. This is a hot corner topic. Jesse Winker back to the Mets. They liked him a lot. 1 year, about $8 million is what it sounds like. The more interesting part here also comes from Andy Martino, who covers the Mets for SNY. He just tweeted, the Mets have pivoted to plan B post Alonso. They now consider it the most likely outcome that Alonso will sign elsewhere. They add Winker and will add a reliever, possibly a top one. Thoughts on both?
Good for Winker. We need to get him on. He's an Orlando guy, so we need to.
How have we not had him on? He's very fun.
He is very fun. I don't know. We're going to have to get a hold of him and get him to come on. I mean, he could sit right. He could sit where you are, and we could lose you.
He's here right now, right? Mm-hmm. He's in Orlando, probably.
He's around here somewhere.
We're going to work on that.
Oh, it's cold. He's probably inside.
True. But, yeah, I love this for Winker. He's back to a place he was comfortable. He did really well for the Mets last year, especially, obviously once he got there. And then for the Alonso news, again, is this posturing? Jesse Winker signing shouldn't affect the Pete Alonso signing. Different positions, not the same amount of money. Shouldn't change much. I just think that somebody in Pete's camp, I don't know, man. This is a weird one to me because why is Pete Alonso just not a Met already? It doesn't make sense why he's not a Met.
It does make sense. It's called a contract, and two sides have to agree to it.
I know. I know what it means, but I don't understand.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out what the offer was and why he potentially ended up elsewhere. But first, Winker back to the Mets. I mean, Kratz, he had a couple rough years. He was like that game, Operation, where it was like almost everything was banged up. And if you look at the numbers before 22-23, they were really good. He was always a bat. He's not much of a defender, but he's a bat. Mm-hmm. And then he was back, especially with the Mets. And in the playoffs at one point, that was my number one gripe. They weren't playing him consistently. Remember that? And I was like, if you're watching Jesse Winker's at bats right now, he is locked in as hell, giving you quality AB after quality AB. And then they fixed it, but a little bit too late. Not that was the decision that killed it, but it's just a good sign that he looked like the hitter we saw in 2019, 2021, etc.
If that was one of my gripes from Carlos Mendoza, the manager didn't make that adjustment. Going with what had worked most of the year with Winker. I mean, you look at his numbers, how he was used. I think he had a better year with the Nats than he did with the Mets. So he's kind of he's a guy who controls the zone really well. And I think when you don't get enough at bats or you're not getting enough consistent at bats against the same sided pitchers, you start to lose some of your zone discipline. But what he did last year for this team, I love this. This is what teams like the Pirates added Jesse Winker, and they're like, oh, well, this is our signing. Teams like the Mets add Jesse Winker, and they're like, he's just another piece. He's another piece to this organization. And I think throughout his career, he's shown that that's when he's most successful.
Mm-hmm.
But where was he going to play with the Mets? I mean, they have an outfield. They already had an outfield, so he's not going to play center field, right? Because they have
first base.
Well, this year he might, but I'm talking about when Kratz was talking about he didn't get him much playing time. Well, guess what? Marte, Nimmo, McNeil had to find something when he came back.
This year, Soto.
This year, Soto.
Yeah.
I mean, where's his at-bats coming?
DH.
That's where it's going to have to come. He's going to have to learn to play first base and be a DH.
Yeah.
Because if they do move Vientos to first, like they're talking about, and let Beatty play third,
DH. It's a good DH.
But they also want to use Marte to save his legs. They'll use Nimmo out there to save his legs. They have McNeil. Where's McNeil going to play? Right? Because their center fielders are who?
Nimmo.
Okay. If he doesn't play left. Nimmo played a lot of left last year.
Yeah. And
they used Taylor, right? Tyrone Taylor.
And Bader's a free agent.
Yeah, Bader's a free agent. But didn't they use Tyrone Taylor out there in the playoffs last year?
They used some Tyrone Taylor. Yeah. Oh, and wait, we're forgetting someone because he was acquired.
Oh,
Ready?
Siri.
Jose Siri, baby.
Yeah, so where's Uecker going to play?
Uecker's not an outfielder anymore for me.
But I was talking about even last year, where was he going to play?
DH. It's DH.
That's what he did, but he couldn't get at bats because they had other guys that had to DH.
Yeah.
See, it's tough.
He'll mix in for DH.
He's a bench guy now. He's become a bench guy. And I'll tell you a great Jesse Winker story. Talk about his defense one time. A buddy of mine told me this. He's obviously from the area. He was talking to the high school team, a local one, about outfield defense. He goes, my outfield defense is catch the ones that are hit to me, and if it goes by me, get it to the cutoff man as soon as possible. And I was like, that is the best summarization of an outfielder I have ever heard. Catch the ones that you can get to, and if it goes by you, get it to the cutoff man as soon as possible. Boom. Great defense.
And now
kids were definitely swimming on that when they were like, what? You mean I don't have to work on my drop step? And coach said I have to, do all the catch the ball, throw it into the cutoff man.
Also, be a hitter like Jesse Winker, and it changes a lot of things.
Well, of course, but
he's a bat. His position is.
But he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was supposed to do.
Yes.
Catch the ones that are hit, swing the bat, and get it to the. The key to that is get it to the cutoff man as soon as possible.
I think the key for him is keep it simple in the outfield if you're out there. But he's not going to get outfield time for the most part, in my mind. I mean, maybe a spare outfield, day or two here and there, but that's not his thing. And I will point out for the Mets in the playoffs, especially the big series, the NLCS. So he was 5 for 13 and 5 walks, 579 on base. He was great in that series for the Mets against the Dodgers when many other guys were up and down. And he should have played more.
He's a gnat, too. He just annoys the hell out of it.
He does, right. He's got that villain role.
Got that
he embraces
it. He lived it up this postseason.
Because he said he hates Milwaukee. In the second half. Yeah, he had a bad time in Milwaukee.
Oh, when they played Milwaukee, he was unbelievable.
Yeah,
in the DS when he hit the when Pete hit the home run, and remember he hit the home run. He was running on the bases, yelling at
Adames, right?
Yeah, remember him and Adames got into it, or he hit a triple. Whatever he did, that was unbelievable.
Triple.
He hit the triple, and he's running, yelling at Adames.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of his thing. It's
Winker, Siri, and Genesis Cabrera. Mike said Mets are going to get in some brawls in 2025. Hey, keeps the offseason exciting.
Get you excited.
Yeah. So anyway, nice move for them. And yes, Kratz is right. He wasn't as good, although it was small sample size with the Mets as he was with the Nats, but overall, in the regular season. But overall, I mean, he had a 118 OPS plus. League average is 100, 360 on base percentage this past season in his 430 at-bats. Yeah. That plays.
He had a nice year.
Yeah, he had a nice year. Good for him. And obviously,
what did he get? How much did he get?
1 year, $8 million.
Oh, then he's not going to be a bench guy. He's going to play.
He's going to play. Yeah. But the big story here is also the aftermath.
$8 million. He's going to play. Maybe they use him and Marte as a platoon guy. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, right now, Fangraphs, quick here, lineup. Lindor, Soto, Vientos, they have at first. Nimmo, Starling, DH, McNeil, Francisco Alvarez, Beatty at third, Siri in center field hitting last. So, yeah, Starling and him, DH, right?
Okay. Yeah, they probably split time.
Yeah.
Because Soto's going to play right?
Yeah, those are your lefty-righty bats. Starling can play some outfield, but he can also mix in DH time, and there's your.
Who did they have playing center? Nimmo?
Yes.
And McNeil in left?
Sorry, Nimmo in left, and Siri in center.
Siri in center. Okay.
And Soto in right.
Okay.
Yeah, so interesting. Okay. And
it's going to be interesting to see how they get at-bats for a lot. Because Starling Marte is going to be a free agent, I think, at the end of this year. He's going to want his at-bats.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Mendy. Guess what, Mendy? Guess what? Now you have expectations. Now the job gets hard.
Yeah, Mets want to be the Dodgers. You build depth. So good for them. Good signing for them. All right, we'll be right back. Adam McCalvy is going to join us. We're going to honor the legendary Bob Uecker next on FT.
because the pullouts have plenty of money. The pullouts have more. I mean, they have all the money in the world. They're not tight on money. They had larger payrolls before. Don't use the TV deal, because I'm tired of hearing the TV deal. The Twins get a huge fan base. They get big numbers. People watch them. People go to the games. People buy Twins jerseys. I've walked around Minneapolis before. There's Twins jerseys everywhere, right? What's the reason behind them not spending? I don't understand. I mean, Derek Falvey, I feel bad for him. He's out there. He puts a team on the field that wins their first postseason series in 20 years. And then they're like, oh, you got to cut payroll. The fans are going crazy. Then they look at the divisions. They say, no one else in our division is really doing anything. We could win it again in 25. Oh, but we haven't signed, not a bunch, major league free agent this offseason. Why?
I mean, I agree. I feel like every time I come on the show, we together combine to rant against Twins ownership. And then I hear from Twins people who are like, yeah, that's not that far off. I think your point that to separate out the front office from ownership, if you're a Twins fan, I think is valuable, because Derek Falvey is going to get the criticism when they don't make moves because he's the public-facing front office boss. But the reality is, if they have a $135 million payroll, let's say, and right now the roster's at 140, what is he supposed to do? You have to subtract in order to add. And so I agree with everything you said. I think it was a massive mistake for them to, as you said, follow up the first successful postseason in 20 years by slashing $30 million in salary, and then to follow that up this offseason and basically make it known that salary is going to stay in the same range when 3 years ago they were at 160. So if they just grew at a normal pace, they might be at 180 right now, which would probably put them middle of the pack. Now they're at 135. They're down with teams that are just not spending. And I think part of the problem and the reason they're so hamstrung from a roster standpoint is that it's not just the slashing of the payroll that hurts, which it does. It's the slashing of the payroll after you allowed Falvey and company to sign $160 million worth of players, including some long-term deals for Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, Pablo Lopez. Those are all good deals. Those are all, impact players. But if you build up the payroll to 160 and then all of a sudden the next year or the next 2 years, they tell you, oh, actually you need to be at 130. Well, you already have commitments long-term. I mean, Correa's making 30-something million a year. You can't undo that. And so that really, it's not so much the payroll limitations itself. It's the payroll limitations coming after they already added so much long-term money to the.
He can't ever play.
Hold up! Hey! Hey! Hey, guys, hold up a second. There he is. Hey, 1 second. Hey, there is no one who epitomizes a champion the way this man does right here. There is no one out here. What an example for us to be with every single day. Bob Uecker. No doubt about it.
That's really special. Seeing some footage there from the Brewers celebration late last season, of course. Adam McCalvy writes for MLB.com, covers his team every day for years, knew Bob Uecker, knows Pat Murphy well. Adam, thanks for joining us. And, what were your thoughts, obviously, when you saw the news this morning? We all lost a dear friend in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're sad. It's an understatement. You knew it's coming. It was a really hard year for Bob. He worked incredibly hard to get on the air for the games that he did call. Towards the end, he was really not in great shape health-wise. He desperately wanted to call some of these playoff games. He came for game 1 of the wild card series against the Mets, just couldn't go that day. Tried really hard to do game 2 and actually did the Pat Murphy pregame show, the manager radio show. Then right at the first pitch, he told Jeff Levering, his broadcast partner, like, you got it, partner, meaning he wasn't going to call a game. And then the Brewers rallied to win that night. They extended their season, and Ueck got on the air for game 3. And I've just been thinking all day about what a gift from the baseball gods, because he still sounded great. He called a great game. Pete Alonso ruined the whole thing by hitting a 3-run homer. How dare he? ended the Brewers season in just absolutely crushing fashion. And I talked to Jeff Levering just a little while ago. He says, Uke signed off, and he could tell he was hanging on the air. He wanted to keep talking. He didn't want to say goodbye. And he said goodbye, and he said goodbye to the players. And I think he knew that was going to be it. And, today we get this sad news. So he's just a larger than life. Craig Counsell, I talked to him earlier today. That's how he described it. He met him when he was 12 years old, a bat boy, and said he was larger than life even then. And he just became more so as time went on.
As a writer, you're collecting stories from other people about Uke. So people have stories you want them to send them to you, and you're collecting those. What's your story? What's the story that you would tell your grandkids, at your deathbed when they say, "Tell us your best Bob Uecker story"?
There's too many, as you know. I mean, there's this one. Do you have this T-shirt?
I still have it. I was going to wear Yep.
It's Uke in a Speedo, which is great. He says it's from my swimsuit issue, Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated embedded a reporter with the Brewers in the mid-2000s. They were kind of coming on as a franchise, and they thought, oh, this will be great, and gave Sports Illustrated great access. They had this horrendous road trip, included a stop in Miami. I think they went 0-7 on this trip. It was just a total nightmare, except for a Uke in a Speedo. There's a photo in this piece in Sports Illustrated, and it's J.J. Hardy and Corey Hart playing ping pong with Uke leaning up against this wall, and it becomes this legendary thing. And then in 2018, when Brewers legend Erik Kratz was with the club, if I have my years right, they did a trip where they all dressed up like Uke from The Tonight Show with the patchwork sport coats, and Craig Counsell and a lot of the other guys had the T-shirt on underneath. He was able to laugh at himself all the time. And that was on the air. Everyone's seen the clips. He made a career out of, talking about his own playing career as a 200 hitter. But that was off the field too. Or off the air. I mean, he would laugh about himself and have a good time, no matter who you were. He always treated you as an equal and had a good time. So, that whole stands out to me. And I'm so happy that Dan Larea, their traveling secretary, threw me one of these T-shirts so I could wear it today as we're remembering Uke. The other one, I'll just say, the photo over my shoulder that's signed, I walked in the booth one day years ago just to ask his partner at the time, I think was Jim Powell, who then was in Atlanta. And I had some question about a scoring decision or whatever. And I walk in between innings, and Uke has this stack of these 8x10s, and he's signing them. And he turns around and he says, "Hey, Adam, you want one?" And I was like, "Yeah, Uke, I'd love one, but I got to say, I left my 8x10s at home, so I won't be able to return the favor." And he laughed. And I was, 20 something years old. And to make Bob Uecker laugh, I grew up listening to this guy in the suburbs here in Milwaukee. And it was the greatest moment of my life. So that stands out to me too. There's a million more. And as Erik knows, and you can't tell most of them.
Adam, so I was fortunate enough, I got to go to Milwaukee towards the end of this year. And I got to run in the sausage race this year, which was epic. Okay. But Uke, it was amazing. So I do the sausage race. I was sitting up in the press box before the game. Uke would come in and do an inning or two. And I know Jeff Levering from doing games with Fox. So every time I was around Jeff, Uke would come in and sit in there with us for 30 minutes and talk to us, And this year he didn't stay for a lot of games, but he would do an inning or two. And after I did the sausage race, he made me come in the radio booth, right? And he was not working. Jeff was doing the game. And he just sat me down and he's like, "That was the worst sausage race I've ever seen." And I was like, "What do you mean, dude?" He's like, "You cheated." And I was like, "No." And that was what he was, right? He was this guy. I remember in the playoffs with the Brewers, he'd sit in there and we're having our production meeting with the manager. He'd take over and start asking questions. I'm like, "Uke, this isn't your time." He's like, "I can do whatever I want." He had his Jordans on, his Brewer Jordans that was just him. He was so awesome to be around. And just, if you get to spend 5 minutes with this guy, I swear it felt like he talked to you like he knew you his whole life. He would see me, and I met him a million times, never really got to do a lot of stuff with him other than be around him. Every time come up to me, knew my name, shake my hand like we were the best of friends. And that's the thing. Now, from now on, when I go to Milwaukee, it's just going to be different, right? Going to be different for everybody because he's not going to be there with that smile and the affectionate personality. telling, and he always talked a little trash, which made it, I kind of like a little bit. So it's going to be different when I go to Milwaukee.
Well, for all of us, I mean, that's the thing you can't wrap your head around, because even the last couple of years when he hasn't done every game, you knew you'd see him again. Now the thought of like American Family Field without Bob Uecker is like, you can't wrap your brain around it. And I'll tell you, you're talking about those Jordans. Those are actually Erik Kratz. If you look close, that little logo, it's like Ueck. Gio Gonzalez, when he was with the Brewers, made a little the Jordan logo with Uecker. And then maybe because he was a 200 hitter in the big leagues, he like knew how hard this game was, and he never took that for granted. He never forgot it. He never wanted to embarrass a player. He called some lean years, man. I mean, the 1990 Milwaukee Brewers were not a juggernaut, but Ueck made it fun, and he never embarrassed anybody, and he carried that with him until the very end. So he was one of the guys in a way that was special. I'll tell you, the way that, again, this goes back to that 18 Brewers club, which was really a special team. I think that's the first year they voted Uecker a full playoff share. And it was like the Brewers went all the way within a game of the World Series, and it ended up being like 111, whatever the amount was. I mean, 6 figures. And it absolutely blew Ueck away, because he always liked to be one of the guys, and he donated that money to charity. They did it every year. They made the playoffs since then, which has been a lot of them here in Milwaukee. They've given Ueck a share, and he's donated that money to charity. So he was a part of the club in a way that is really unique for broadcasters.
What did he do differently during those lean years? Because my buddy who came out to see me in Milwaukee got to meet Ueck. He texted me today. He's like, dude, like you made my day when I was able to shake Bob Uecker's hand. He said he just really is something, it's something about his character that he was able to stay through those lean years. What did he do that you think is so unique during those lean years? Because there's teams right now, their team stinks, and people don't want to tune in. Everybody still wanted to tune in to hear Ueck call the games.
Well, look, I grew up here, and I was one of those kids listening to Ueck, and there were times where you'd almost root for a bad game because you'd get like crazy Bob Uecker stories. Jeff Levering, I'm just chatting with him today. He said, how many other people can you sit there and have a conversation, and you're talking about 20-year-old Jackson Chourio, and then like without a beat, the conversation goes to Ueck catching behind Ted Williams. Like his knowledge of the game, his life in the games is so different from anybody else that was still in baseball through the last year. And the other thing about it is like he did all these cool things. He hosted SNL. He hosted WrestleMania. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame, which is like a great bit of Uecker trivia. He was on the Tonight Show 100 times and made Johnny Carson laugh all those years. He did Major League and Just a Bit Outside, and he did the Belvedere Show. He wrote a book. His life is like no one crammed more into 90 years than did Bob Uecker. But he always came back to Milwaukee. And that's what Bud Selig was just talking about a little while ago, that everything he did and all the success he had and how beloved he was really all over the world with all those different, all those different things he did. And he'd always come back here, and it was like he was ours. And that was the most special thing about Bob Uecker. I think the fans here like to think the fans everywhere like to think it's a special place where they are. But I think, you're talking about the smallest market in baseball. They've made the postseason 6 of the last 7 years. They do it without the budget of other clubs. It's a little different here. I think the fans like to embrace that. And I think Bob Uecker is such a big part of that. He is the voice of the fan, and you felt like he's your guy. He's ours. He's Milwaukee. And that it was like that his entire life.
He was the perfect ambassador for baseball, and he devoted his life to the one organization, really, for the most part. Obviously, for the majority of his lifetime, it was being the ambassador for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yes,
right.
It was.
They tell, and he tells
most
stories
teams don't have
about.
that.
Bud tells stories about George Steinbrenner trying to hire Ueck to be the Yankees play-by-play guy. and you wanted to stay. So it's, the other thing that's cool is he never, I think until about 2021, when like health insurance became an issue, he never had a contract. He just shook Bud Selig's hand and said, I'll see you next spring. And then they crossed their fingers and hoped he would show up in spring training. And he always did. And then when Mark Attanasio bought the team in the mid 2000s, and at that time, the game is getting much more corporatized. There's a lot more money involved in baseball at every level. He's such a valuable part of this organization. Still, no, just a handshake. Then I think the story he told me is he would get his insurance from the Screen Actors Guild. And then something changed post-pandemic, and that sort of wasn't an option anymore. So he had to sign some paperwork in order to have health insurance. So finally he signed a contract in like 2021 or something after calling games for 50 years.
I like it. I'll just say this. Bob Uecker and I have never agreed on anything more than this. When he said, how do you catch a knuckleball? You wait for it to go to the backstop and stop rolling, because I had to catch a knuckleballer, and that was my philosophy. So, Bob, thank you for that line, because you never said a truer thing in your life.
My favorite Uecker line is that he signed with the Braves for $3,000, which was a lot of money at the time, but his dad was able to scrape up the money.
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite. And if for kids who are out there have no idea who Bob Uecker is, growing up, my parents, they'd be like, oh, there's a beer commercial on, we're turning the channel, or we'd hit mute. They were like, that's how they were always be when I was a kid. But when Bob Uecker's beer commercials came on, my dad would take the remote and be like, nah, Bob Uecker's commercials are funny. So you need to go back and look at the heyday of beer commercials.
And what stars were in those commercials. He was telling us a story, and I think this is from the Miller Lite era. This is just this year he's telling the story about Clete Boyer, Mickey Mantle, and Bob Uecker are standing around at one of these shoots. This is how I remember it. It was at one of the shoots. Anyway, they're standing around wherever it was. And Uecker says, when I was in the Army, we used to pass time by lighting our farts. And Clete Boyer apparently was like, oh, Uecker, that's a bunch of BS. That doesn't actually happen. That's an old wives' tale. And Mantle is just sitting there laughing. So Uecker's like, no, it's like a real thing. So they decide they're going to give this a shot. And Uecker's telling the story. And as the story goes, I mean, they did it, and it turned into like kind of a medical emergency. And the point is, like, it worked. And we're laughing, listening to them tell the story. And then Christian Yelich or somebody walks up and goes, what are you guys laughing about? And he goes back to the beginning, and he tells the same story again with the same energy, the same vigor, the same punchlines. He just nails it. And then a couple of young guys walk over wondering what's going on, and we hear the whole story again. He had a knack for like being so entertaining, such a storyteller. And again, like, it's not what I expected to hear going to the ballpark that day. But that was the coolest thing about you, because you just never knew what you were going to get.
Yeah, elite delivery, right? The ultimate entertainer. So baseball was really lucky to have him. He could have done anything in entertainment. So we got a lot of Bob Uecker time, all of us. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. This was really cool. Really, like, just eloquent words. Really helpful, obviously, for people that are feeling it today. Thanks, dude. Great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys too. I wish it was better circumstances, but look, has anyone ever squeezed more into 90 years on this earth?
No.
You can't be sad.
You
got to appreciate what he gave us.
Yeah, which is what he would want. You got to celebrate the life. So, Adam, thank you so much, man. Yeah, we'll have you on for, different conversation at some point soon too, but appreciate you jumping on with us on a tough day.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Good to see y'all.
Thank you. You too. It's Adam McCalvy. Mr. Milwaukee on the writing scene. We'll be right back. Yeah, what you said about you was exactly what I was writing in the YouTube chat. So I remember I came across him when I was calling a game, and happened to just be involved in a conversation with, I think I was with Dan Plesac at the time. We were calling a game together, and I'm in on the combo, and I'm like, this guy's never met me before. And he's acting like we just got a beer at the bar last night. I'm like, this guy doesn't know me for squat. you know, and that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But he wasn't doing it. You know how some people
fake.
do stuff in like that forced
Wasn't
way
fake.
where they're like, hey, buddy. Like,
it wasn't
he
like
was
when
just
teams have meetings with players and people fake it to act cool.
Right.
He was genuine.
You know what I think of where someone's like, hey, you know, like they do like the tap where it's like, you think that, you know, like there's just a delivery that he did that was very unique. And I just think that it was awesome for me. Obviously, it was years ago.
I'm just mad. We tried. I had like a few Brewers games this year.
Yeah.
I'm just mad we were going to have him on for like a half an inning because obviously I was working with Levering and Adam Amin, and Levering knows him very well. And
sure.
And Adam knows Levering from, you know, broadcasters are a very tight unit.
Yeah.
It's very incestuous. It's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially Chicago area, and Milwaukee's considered Chicago area. I know it's not Chicago, but you know, there's a lot of them that are all from Chicago and they all kind of know each other and they're whatever.
They're frenemies.
Yes. So he kept trying to get Uecker to come on with us and it just never worked. And that's one of the things that I'm kind of, you know, most disappointed about is I never got to do like a half an inning on TV with you because I think it would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But he would still come over between innings and make us die laughing. The chef always brings us like this incredible spread in Milwaukee. Chef Lauren, we love you. But he would come over and pick at it, you know, and he's like, man, I don't get this spread of mine. We're like, I'm sure, Bob, if you asked for it, you could get it, right?
Yeah.
But I tell you who's the most mad? Was it Usingers, the sausage company? Because if you ever watch a Brewers game, it's on like every half inning. So when I was in Milwaukee, a buddy of mine's like, bring me some sausage back from Milwaukee. Well, I didn't know where to go. Well, outside the hotel was the Usingers thing. So I walked over there and I'm like, Bob Uecker, good enough for him. So I sent sausage to a buddy of mine, asked for it just because the commercial's on all the time. So.
Yep. Hey. That's what a commercial does.
That's why they
pick
do
the
it.
right guy to be on the commercial. That was Bob. So good stuff there. All right. Well, you got a quick word?
Real quick. In spring training in 19, I knew I was going to get fired or traded at the end of spring training, and they let me up in the booth with them. So I got to call, I think it was 2 innings. I did like 4 innings of a spring training game that I wasn't playing in, and Uecker was there for 2 of them. He was like, why don't you just stay for the rest of the game? He was awesome.
That is cool. In the weeds, I've actually been seeing some more stories popping up about this. I'm going to skip, sorry, team behind the scenes, but to the 18-year-old two-way Japanese player who just signed with the A's. Did you guys see this story?
Nope.
I hadn't really heard of him, and I feel like I'm pretty dialed into the prospect/international prospect scene. And there you go. A record-breaking contract for Shotora Mori. He's not going to NPB. And it sounds like he's the biggest deal player in Japan to actually skip NPB and say, I'm going right to the pros.
Even the guy who went to Stanford?
I think this guy's a
big
better,
dude that
I think
hits
this
all
guy's
supposed
a
to
much
hit all the
better
homers?
prospect. I think this guy's a better prospect. B, I think the distinction was that this player is going straight to the pros. That guy obviously is going to college first, but I think this one's still a better player. He's a two-way player. He's a shortstop right now.
I'm going to have to see.
And a right-handed pitcher.
That ain't going to happen.
They're going to make a decision, right?
They're going to have to make. I'm sorry.
He's going to be a pitcher.
You can't play shortstop and be a pitcher. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You just can't because shortstop's too valuable.
What if he
Shohei
moves?
works because he's a DH/outfielder, and it's much easier to find an outfielder to fill in for a day than it is a shortstop to fill in for a day, every 5th day. I'm sorry.
I saw him pitch. In the video, the quick video that I saw. He's going to pitch. I mean, I haven't seen him at shortstop. Shortstop is a big league shortstop is way different. If he can throw like this at 18, because he was lumped in, I thought he was 16, so I was super impressed. I was like, what? But he's actually 18. Yeah, Shitaro's the dude that hit all the homers last year. We saw him at the All-Star game. He was kind of pedaling around at the big league All-Star game last year. So, but this kid looks like an absolute freak. I mean, he'll play both positions. It's cool, but he's got some clean mechanics.
He signed for $1.5 million. Baseball America ranked him number 25 in this current international class. Yeah, contact hitter, a little bit of pull power, but that's why you're like, all right,
He's going to be a pitcher.
It's going to have to be a really
That
good bat
right
for it
there,
to be a DH.
That right there, he's going to have to be a pitcher.
He's going to have to be a pitcher, yeah. So
I mean, I don't care how good he can pick it. He's going to be a pitcher.
Mid-90s fastball, slider, splitter, show me curve. Needs to work on some control. Sounds like your typical 18-year-old. I mean,
how hard is he?
A little more stuff. Mid-90s, like 94-ish, I think, right now. So actually nowadays for a prospect like that, like that's fine. It's not like, oh my gosh. You know, there's 18-year-olds throwing 100 plus.
Like, is he going to grow and grow?
Right. I don't know. I don't know a lot about the
grow and grow
measurables. Yeah.
I mean, look at how much Shohei has grown since he's made it over here. Like early on, I mean, he is a wide body now. The rigors of big baseball require that.
Mm-hmm. Big frame. That's true. But the story here is, do we see more players do this now? Do more players say, you know what? If MLB thinks I'm good enough, maybe I'll just go there first. I can always go back to NPB if I either A, don't make it, or the back end of my career, which is what many players do.
The reason people start in NPB is they usually get to the big leagues quicker in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they don't have to go through the grind of the minor league. Like you hear a lot more about 20-year-olds around there playing in Japan than you do in the major league level.
Right.
So you don't have to go to the minor league. So that's why you can get a guy like Shohei out at like younger ages. And so, I mean, yeah, if he's comfortable doing it and it works, you might see other ones, but you just don't see this a lot because at 18 years old, not only are you going into the minor leagues, but you're also going from Japan to America. That's a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Switching countries. That's why, like the Dominican League and the Venezuelan League, guess what they do? They send them to the Dominican Complex League to let them get used to being in baseball. And then they usually send them to the States Complex League, either Arizona or Florida, and they control everything. They live in a dorm, right? And they make sure, and a lot of them are there for a year or two to get used to being in the U.S. before they send them out to minor league affiliates.
Yeah, it's like an academy boarding school kind of situation.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing too. That's another reason why I think it's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is not everybody makes it to the big leagues like the superstars here, like Juan Soto making it at 19. You know, Trout was 19, 20, Harper, all the, you know, that's not the norm. The norm would be guys making it to the big leagues by 23 to 25, and 25 is when they get, you know, solidified as a everyday big league player. That's the norm. I know the superstars are different. So for Japanese guys, which would you rather do? Would you play in Asheville, North Carolina, Dayton, Ohio, Syracuse, New York, or play at the highest level in Japan, in your country, and then at 25 make the jump? So I don't see this happening very often because they already have a big league over there.
I think there's a problem, though. This is what brings out a problem. They don't necessarily want to be under team control for however many years it is out there. Roki Sasaki just had that issue where he wanted to go. Team was like, no, created a weird year just now. Now they did let him go this time around. Maybe it's a little push from the young guys who are looking at some of these cases and saying, okay, this was a pain process for some of these younger players that wanted to jump before they were posted or before age 25. And there's a little fight where they're like, you know what? I don't have to deal with any of that if I just choose to go now. There'll be some annoyance on the front end because I'm not in MLB right away. No, you don't think there's anything to that?
Man, talk about, AJ hit on it. Talk about an adjustment. Adjusting in the big leagues, physically, you know, the play and everything, that is tough. Adjusting to the culture, hey, you're in one city. Let's say Sotaro comes over and he's ridiculous his first year. He could go and play in two podunk cities that he's like, whew, I'm trying to make the adjustment to. Let's see. You know, I don't even remember who signed him. You have to remind me who signed him now. We just started.
The A's. The A's signed him. But hold on. Like, what is it? Stockton? Do they have Stockton still, the A's, in their minor league?
They have anymore. Modesto. They used to have
I don't know.
Modesto. He also signed
Sacramento.
Sacramento eventually, but he signed for $1.5 million, guys. Like, I know that you're not trying to spend all that right away, but like, he's not going to be poor. Like, he could literally have a chef with him and get through his couple years, if that, of the minor leagues. I know you're still in a different environment, but he could have a chef picking up groceries, making him food. Like, he could do things that certain minor leaguers can't do.
It's tougher than you think. I'm just saying it's tough. I mean, AJ can attest to leaving home at 17 years old and going to play somewhere out of high school. Now, if he would have done that in Japan,
yeah,
it'd be tough.
Major difference.
Tough transition.
Japan's awesome, man.
I like Japan, but I mean, I don't know if at 17 I would have wanted to move over there.
I feel like you would have been okay.
I would have figured it out, but
yeah.
He would have figured it out.
The food's better there.
I do like Asian food. So.
The food's better there. They're super nice. Generally, like the public. I just was there. I mean, it's the cleanest, safest place I've ever been to in my life. I'm like, I feel like a lot of major league guys go over there and they're like, it was friggin' awesome. I mean, Adam Jones liked it so much that he ended up staying not there, but in Europe. He was just like, man, I want to spend more time in Asia and just hop across.
Europe and Asia aren't that close.
I know they're
just
not
letting
that close,
know.
but they're
not kind of far away.
Well, he liked the international.
Well, so do I, but that doesn't mean I want to live over there.
All right, whatever. Maybe it wasn't the best analogy, but Japan's awesome.
Japan is awesome.
That's it.
That's a terrible analogy, Scott, but that's fine. We're used to them from you. It's either role play or bad analogies. That's what we get.
Or being a stat nerd and fixing some things. Every once in a while, you guys say a wrong name or number, and that's what I'm here for.
You're our
remember
what
PTI?
Is it? What do they call it? You're our fact checker on
Stat Boy on PTI. Remember that when PTI was big?
Yeah, you're not going to be that important one day like that guy is.
Tony Reale?
Yeah, didn't he take over the other show?
They're canceling it.
Oh, well, that's why. See, your show's canceled, Scott.
On the horn. Well, that's bad news for you.
Was it bad news for me for?
My show was your show.
No, I said your other show's getting canceled.
What's my other show?
I don't know. Stat Boy.
Oh, Baseball America? No, that we just spent 10 minutes talking about a prospect.
All right. That I never heard of.
Anyway.
Might never hear of again.
Moral of the story here, Japan is awesome.
Japan's awesome.
All right, we'll swing back and we'll get ready to talk to Tyler Glasnow about the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes, among other things. So there's another prospect that just signed in the international market. Name is Yorger Bautista, left-handed hitting Venezuelan outfielder. The nickname, La Bestia, the Beast. Good nickname if he makes it. Isn't some other player have a Beast nickname to him?
I don't know.
Second highest ranked player on Pipeline.
I love that.
It was one.
I love that. Only because I've never seen that first name. And any of the Latin players that I've never seen the first name, it always sticks out to me. Like the first time I ever met Asdrubal Cabrera, there's no like direct, some like, like Juan. Juan is John in English. We get that one. Like Jordan, okay, Jordan. Yorger, Asdrubal, no direct correlation. Rugned, no direct translation.
What's his brother's name? Brother's a third base coach for the Guardians. He's something Rug something too.
No.
Rugned
that's his
brother is the third base coach. No, it's his
brother.
brother.
He was my hitting. No, it's his uncle. All the men in that family are named Rugned Odor. He was my hitting coach in AAA, and so some of them go by Rugi, some of them go by their middle name. But all the men, if you look it up, it's like 6 men in that family, brothers, cousins, nephews, all that. They're all named Rugned Odor. It's hilarious. And he is awesome dude.
Maglio Ordonez named his kids Maglio, Maglino, Maglito, Maglita. They're all like something Magli. Oh, yeah. They're Magli something. Okay. Every kid is like Maglino, Maglio, Maglita, yeah, all of them.
That's cool.
So,
by the way, I asked.
I mean, is it cool?
I mean, cool from the outside. We don't have to deal with all the confusion.
Yeah.
I have a buddy who's the fourth, so he's Gio, the fourth.
Yeah, so everyone's Gio.
And then he named his son. Well, it's George, but So he's 4, and then his kid is 5. So we're like, so he
He's
calls
calling
him
4.
5.
Yeah, I like that. We'll call him
5.
Yeah, I like that. Real quick, Google AI said 2 other players with nicknames, among other nicknames, the Beast in the past. Jimmy Fox and
2 X's. Yeah, 2 X's, though.
I got one more. Michael Morse.
Really?
Remember Michael
I
Morse?
do. Leg kick. He'd go like this before he'd hit.
He was a big dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was a big guy.
Damn.
2014 World Series champion with the Giants.
Ooh.
Hit one of the cooler
Good
home runs of
fellow.
all time, too.
Good fella.
Yes.
Hit a cool home
The
run where he
rerun.
had to redo it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The rerun around the bases. Cool. We're back. We're expecting Tyler Glasnow soon. Do you guys want to prep our questions?
Oh, I got so many questions. And they don't
Do
have
you?
anything to do with baseball. You're going to be so mad at me,
I
Scott.
don't care. Do whatever you want.
Okay, that's a better answer.
Whoa!
I wanted to
Ask
give him
Claudia.
something unexpected.
Ask Claudia first.
You didn't expect me to say that, did you?
No, I did not expect you to say that.
I like to keep things interesting. We're on the show every
Oh, I
day
have
together.
such a great question at the end for him. And it's going to involve you. So you're going to have to role play with me.
That's fine. Are you going to ask him some things that are like really out there?
No, not like really out there, but
Medium out there?
yeah, kind of out there.
Yeah. Like give him something different that he's not getting on an interview.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to ask him like, gee, how was your meeting? Maybe I want to know
Well,
if he was at the Roki meeting.
Come on. That I want to ask. I
Well, you have to ask
genuinely
that.
want to hear
Like,
that.
see, that entertains me because what if he wasn't?
Why didn't he get the invite?
Yeah, well, I want to know. Inquire, like the National Enquirer. So, Tyler, you have cool hair, but you didn't get to go to the Roki meeting. Why not?
Yeah.
Does Dave not like you? Does Andrew Friedman not think you're big time enough?
Mm-hmm.
Was Snell there because he's the new ace and you're out? Was Kershaw there? Right?
Hey. I
Kershaw's
would
not even
want Tyler-
signed. He can't be there.
Doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Maybe
That's
they
true.
brought Kershaw in. I don't know.
Who's
Was
your,
Yamamoto there? Bought dinner
who's your all ambassador squad
for the
for
Dodgers.
the Dodgers?
That's what I'm
There are a
saying.
lot of names, and you got to think about this because we know Tyler well. Obviously, there's going to be some bias here. Tyler's the one who does the interviews and nails them.
He's great.
You know, some
Do
of
you
those
invite
guys
Freddie
don't.
and not Mookie? Or Mookie and not Freddie? Want too many MVPs in the same room?
All right, let's do our top 5.
What
If you get the call and they're like, Andrew Friedman, Roki Sasaki said he's down for dinner. He's going to meet with you, owner, 5 players. Who's your starting 5? All ambassador team. It's not who's the best players. It's the all ambassador team.
Okay. I'm starting Shohei
I have
and
number
Yamamoto.
one. I have number one, and you'll never guess it. Go ahead. You
Go
do.
ahead.
You do
No,
5.
I wanna
Or
hear your
six.
number one.
Shohei and Yamamoto are 1-2. They have to be
But
there.
who the heck is number 1 that we're
I-
not thinking about?
He's going to say like Austin Barnes.
Yeah. What do you got?
Magic Johnson in the room.
No, he's not on the team.
No, I said 5
he
Dodger
said on
players.
the team.
Okay, fine.
you said
Magic's
5
in.
ambassadors.
No. I
From the
said
team.
Friedman's there, owner's there. Fine.
I mean, I'm having Mr. Guggenheim there too.
Yeah, Magic can go, but give me 5 current Dodgers,
Guggenheim.
and then you have to do a cutoff. Okay? Can we all agree on the first on Ohtani and
Shohei and
Yamamoto?
Yamamoto are 1-2.
Obviously,
I mean, they're there.
fellow
Yeah.
countrymen are going to be there. Okay?
Mookie,
Now what?
Freddie.
Mookie, Freddie, and Will Smith are mine. Because you want the catcher
Have
who's
to
going to
have-
be catching them. You want the MVPs there. And you know who I'd bring in just for fun? Kike. Just so he could do a little hip shake.
But now we're at 6,
Yeah, but
and you
fine.
forgot about Tyler.
But he's
I'm
not-
including Tyler.
But you only gave me
No.
5. But Kike isn't on the team technically, so he can do whatever he wants. He can show up like Kershaw.
I don't think I'm bringing Freddie.
You're not bringing Freddie Freeman.
I got Shohei,
Wow. Okay.
Yamamoto, Mookie Betts, Tyler Glasnow, Will Smith.
No, you don't need
What
Tyler.
about Blake
Sorry.
Snell?
I need a pitcher. Tyler's been there.
Shohei
Shohei and
Still just
Yamamoto.
fine.
You got 2 pitchers.
I want an
Shohei.
American pitcher. No, and also for me, I want the best talker. I actually think Tyler Glasnow is the best talker on the team. That's why he comes on the show.
He
Him and
doesn't speak
Mookie.
Japanese.
Okay, but we have that part covered. Now on the American side, I think Tyler could make a very convincing case that this is the spot.
Ooh.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know. We're going to have to ask him because this is the things we want to know about. Like, it's cool. Like, we're guessing where he's going to go, but I want to know what happens in this meeting. If Tyler was there, and if Tyler wasn't there, why not? But if he was there, what did they serve? Did they serve Japanese food? Did they have like teppanyaki?
Mm-hmm.
Did they go sushi?
Mm-hmm.
Or did they go like an American steak?
Burger?
Burger? Do they have In-N-Out cater?
Come on, you
Right?
gotta have a
I mean,
Dodger dog. Gotta
I
have
mean,
a
these
dog.
are the things that I want to. I've never been to these meetings. Oh, he's here?
Why are you giving me the notes?
Why
I
did we
didn't
get the
see.
ding dong?
Who's giving me the ding?
We get nothing.
Yeah.
Is he here?
We got ding for the Dodger dog? I don't know.
He just
I don't
wanted
know
to
what
ding
you're
us.
saying.
I like it.
Oh, okay.
Or do you go like Korean barbecue? Maybe he likes Korean barbecue where you got cooked meat in front of yourself.
Sure.
I don't know.
This sounds like someone that actually is very interested in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes.
No, I'm not.
He
I'm
said
just
he
interested in what
wasn't.
happens at these meetings. I've never been to these meetings.
Kratz.
Because they never
We
really
will
did
have-
these meetings before.
AJ, I promise in the next 2 months, we will have somebody that was in one of the meetings. I promise. He already said he's coming on. I can't say who.
That's fine.
Wait, who did he have me? Oh, it'd have to be a Toronto. I know who it is.
Wow.
I know.
Good job.
He owes me a thank you too. So he comes on, he can thank me.
He did thank you.
No, he didn't.
Can I ask a question? What is each person contributing to the meeting on your starting
I
five?
don't know. That's my question.
Okay, Yamamoto
Does someone
and
have to pay?
Ohtani
Like
are-
Shohei should have to pay.
Right, but Yamamoto and Ohtani, it's a given. Now with the other three players that you're choosing, like what does each of those players bring to the table that you think makes him truly worth being there?
Well, Mookie's Mookie.
Okay, next.
Freddie's.
What's Freddie bringing? What's he doing that's separating himself from being at the meeting? That's why I'm trying to figure this
Freddie?
out. I
Freddie's-
think Tyler is more valuable. Better speaker,
Freddie's
pitcher.
Freddie can talk when he wants to now.
Don't see him enough on stuff.
Freddie's
Sorry
comedic
about it.
relief. Freddie's the funny guy.
Freddie told me
in
he
the
would
five.
come on the show. Now, getting him on is going to be a different thing, but he told me not long ago
I
that
don't
he would
believe
come
him.
on.
I don't believe it.
I told him I'm going to keep hassling him until he comes on.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
I want ambassadors. I want guys that are showing their
You know what
face
his
on
ambassadorship says? World Series MVP, Roki. You want to be that? Come to the LA.
things. I don't need that line for the selling point. They can say, hey, we have Freddie. He's awesome too. I'm just saying, what is each person's contribution? To me,
Maybe they need to
Tyler's
bring
got
Max
more.
Muncy. He's a good talker.
I think Max is a better candidate. Max is actually funny too. And straight shooter. And I think you get that when you meet Max right away. Not that the others aren't, but Max gives you real answers every time you talk to him. So, all right, we're checking in Tyler. So we're going to ask him all of this.
We're going to find out. We're going to get so much gossip. So we're going to spill so much tea. Ooh.
All right, BetMGM futures. Let's look at the Brewers, 82.5. Thoughts, everyone?
Brewers? Yeah, I'm going to go over just because they always seem to go over. So, over.
This is
Yeah,
the highest.
over.
This is their highest over under in the last 6 years or 7 years to start a season. Now, obviously, the season hasn't started yet, but this is the highest over under that they've had.
I think they'll get to 85, 83 to 85.
Over. They are
Yeah.
constantly undervalued.
Yeah.
Over. Easy. There it is. That's your segment. Okay. Brewers still have plenty of good pieces left. It's a better farm system than it's been in a minute. They will probably acquire a player or two at the trade deadline, as they usually do.
And they might
don't just
also
sit there and
sign
do
someone
nothing.
random that we don't know about.
Yeah.
A one-year deal.
They might get a bargain towards the end of the offseason.
Alex Bregman, as Kratz said, Homer.
Exactly. All right. Let's tell everyone about the longest touchdown jackpot. You bet on a player to find the end zone, win a share of $250,000 in bonus bets if they end up scoring the longest touchdown of the week. For more information, obviously log in to your account on BetMGM, opt in to the promotion, place a $10 plus anytime touchdown wager, up to one eligible bet per game. If your player scores the longest touchdown of the week, you'll win a share of $250,000 in bonus bets. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back.
I know. I was wondering about that.
I'm so excited.
Oh, there it is. Gosh. I mean, it just like as soon as I see that face and that hair, I just instantly get excited.
Which is why I want to
It
know.
is so pretty.
That's
And
why
then
I
look
wanna
at the
know.
view. Look at that view in the background. Like, I mean, it's just
You know,
gorgeous.
the door and set it
Yeah,
up.
but you look at
nice.
the whole, the reflection is amazing.
Yeah,
there you go.
You're living
Thank
the
you.
life,
Thanks.
Tyler. Tyler Glasnow joining us right now, but we've been talking about this for probably longer than we should. But did you go to the Roki Sasaki meeting? If not, were you like, oh, I wish I was there? Because I feel like you would have been a great ambassador if you weren't invited.
I was not there. I don't know if I was even. I don't even know where I was. When was this meeting? Give me the details.
Tuesday.
It was like 2 days ago.
Oh, well, no, I wasn't there. I'm in Tampa too, so it's kind of a far flight. I would have gone, but I think they're probably covered. I talked to him on the phone. We have the same agent. I was asking him, like, you know, just shooting shit, kind of being like, you should come to the Dodgers and all that stuff. But he's relatively quiet, and it was like a pretty quick phone call, so I wasn't expecting to get too much out of it. But
Whoa. Hold on. Wait, he speaks English.
Yeah, right. But like, I was like an in-passing phone call. I called my agent manager, like, "Oh, I'm with Roki." I was like, "Oh, I'll say what's up, hello, hi, goodbye," kind of like a very quick.
You're like, "Hello,
goodbye type
come
of
play
thing.
for the Dodgers. We can win another ring. Thank you. Okay,
Exactly.
We'll see you later.
Yeah.
See you in Glendale.
It's kind of, yeah. I'll see you out there, hopefully.
Any insight from
I don't know
the agency?
No.
What are we thinking
from
here,
me,
dude?
no.
We're days away from a decision. I mean, it has to happen by the 23rd. We're at the 16th, so we're within a week.
Oh.
What do you think? What's your prediction here?
I don't know. You got Darvish on in San Diego, and I know they're pretty close. Yep. I know like a lot of people look up to Darvish. I heard he likes the Blue Jays a lot, and then I heard he likes the Dodgers. So I feel like everything in between that, like all the hearsay stuff is like, I don't know. I just have heard those three teams, and I guess it's just kind of up for him to decide. Like I think too, I mentioned too, I sent him like a thing and was like, if you want to, I haven't played for the other two organizations, but if like one of your main goals is to become the best pitcher you can possibly be, like, like development wise and everything, scouting report wise to like all that stuff, I was like, this is the place for you. If I think too early on, he still has like, he has to come up with the minimum ARB free agency type thing. Like if your motivation is whether it's like money or winning or whatever, I think this is the best place to grow as a baseball player type of thing. That was my message.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. Oh, you're like, hold on.
Yeah.
World Series ring. Yeah, hold on. Oh, we win every year. Oh, yeah. And we have the best player in the world on our team. And we have 2 other MVPs. Oh, yeah, sorry. And, and we just signed a 2-time Cy Young Award winner just in case you didn't feel comfortable enough with our pitching staff. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know why anybody would ever.
Or just even like development too, though. Like even like just the stuff they can give you in between each week. And like if you're working on something, like I think they're pretty advanced and far ahead with all that stuff, like the new age stuff, you know what I mean? And like I don't know how much of that he's into, but I think it's just an easy place to like get back on track when you feel like shit in the middle of the season, you know? I think that's what I've noticed anyway since being here.
Okay, so I have to ask, since we were talking about the meeting before you came on, what happens at these meetings? Have you ever been asked? Because I was never asked at one of these meetings. But I want to know, like, what do you think happens? You think they sit around? Because there's no clubhouse at Dodger Stadium, right? Because they're redoing all the clubhouses. Because Shohei made you guys too much money, so now they have to spend it, like, on clubhouses for you guys, okay? But what do you think happens? They all sit around in, like, a conference room, and they serve them dinner? Do they take them out somewhere to eat? Or, I mean, I just want to know, like, how the Dodgers wine and dine somebody.
I don't know. I think I'm sure they get some intel and some insight on like what he enjoys or what he likes. I'd assume. I would always hear these stories prior to Roki. Like I'd ask my agent, certain guys that he would have that people are trying to sign as free agents or sign from whatever international club. And I've heard a few stories. I haven't really gotten down to like what they did with Roki, but I think you kind of go to the stadium, I don't think you go to a restaurant. I'm sure they cater something and then they bring in like nice food. From what I've heard, I don't know about Roki's situation, but I think it's just kind of like, let me woo you. Like I'm basically taking you out on a date, and I want you like this is what your life could be, type of thing. And I think it's just that. And then I think a lot of it too is dialogue. Like, what questions do you have? I'm sure the teams run through a presentation of like this is how we could make you better, type of thing. And like we've noticed this, and I'm sure teams will be like, we've been studying you for a long time, and like here's video from way over here and now it's here and these are some adjustments we could do. And I think just the overall understanding and whatever you can do to become a better pitcher. I think ultimately it's just, this is how we can help you. You should come here and we'll do it.
We clearly want to get insight on these meetings. So I'm going to ask you, did you talk to Yamamoto? Obviously, you don't know what Roki's situation was. Did you talk to Yamamoto? Did Yamamoto ever say, dude, I love watches, and when I came for the meeting to like sign here, they had this sick watch, or I love cars and they picked me up in a Bentley or something like that. Did he ever give any stories?
No, I didn't ever really talk to him about that. I would chat him up in the dugout a bunch of times, but I never really thought to ask like how they wooed him. I'm actually going to ask him that now. And then if we get Roki, I'll ask him that too. And then I'll let you know. But I'm not really sure at all.
Tyler, what you need to do right now is call Joel Wolf, right now, right? And ask him where he's signing. Call him while we're on the air and say, listen, I need to know, okay? I need to know right now where he's signing. Yeah. We know he already knows. Just tell us, please, because I'm tired of talking about it.
I'm a big client.
Yeah, I'm a huge client. You got me a great extension. You're getting your percentage. Now tell me so I can tell the world.
He'd give me nothing. He'd be like, I don't know. We'll see when he signs. Like,
I
don't even have it in. I didn't really call to try to get info, but I remember calling just being like, what's up? And he happened to be with him, and they were in like forever. I don't even know where they were at, like somewhere throwing. And I was kind of like, what's the deal? And I don't think he's not going to tell me. I don't really want to pry either, you know. I'm just kind of like, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's probably had so many people asking him and people hitting him up.
Pry away while we have you, please. Pry away. Be like, Joe, I got this urgent. I just got to know right now. And don't even tell him you're on the camera. It's like, I got to know. Yeah. Okay, thanks. And put it on speaker so we can all hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be thrilled.
There you go.
But, I mean, he did throw. There are pictures of him throwing in Padres gear at Petco the other day.
Really?
Yeah, there was.
I'm sure too.
Talking about on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm sure that he went there to throw, or like they were like, "Here's a shirt you can wear." And he's wearing a shirt. Who knows? You think he's sold? You think he's in there? Yeah.
AJ, I think those were fake. And it was not Roki. It was not Roki. It was. So it was a fake. It was like the dude was from his balcony at one of those buildings in San Diego.
It was Loki, the Marvel guy, Loki.
No, what I read, obviously it's all conjecture, but it was Yu's son throwing, who has pristine mechanics also. And they were, because it was so far, and then everybody put it out there, Roki Sasaki in a Padres unit? In Padres, it was shorts and a T-shirt. No.
Couldn't it be similar to like, what if it's probably not this way in MLB, but like, remember when all the college kids would go and like do their visits at whatever college and they'd put like Texas gear on, or they put Oklahoma gear on. Maybe he's just doing that. Maybe he just wants to wear the jigs, see which one feels comfy. Maybe he's wearing Toronto and LA stuff. Who knows?
Apparently, some people said that's what he's done.
Think
about stuff at other stadiums.
Think about this for Tyler. When we first talked to him, he was leaving Tampa and he was all sad. He's leaving Tampa. And now look at him. He can't wipe the smile off his face, even though he still lives in Tampa. Yeah, if he was still in Tampa right now, he'd be playing in Steinbrenner Field in front of, like 8,000 people. But instead, he's a world champion, living the high life, recruiting players to his team. Right in Tampa, he was members. Like, please keep me so we can have a team to play with.
That's true. Honestly, that Steinbrenner situation's kind of nice. The roof situation's not, and the hurricane situation is super not cool, but that might be kind of awesome for the team. Go to Tampa. How many, with capacities like 15,000, they're going to sell out every game. Ticket prices, I'm assuming, are going to go up because everyone lives in Tampa. I think the city's going to have a nice little buzz to it. And then maybe the city of Tampa will be like, all right, we'll maybe we should try to have a team here. But I think it's going to be awesome. And I think if you're a hitter too and you got a little bit of time left there, the ball flies there. I think it's a win-win. Not for the pitchers, but for the hitters and the city of Tampa, I think it's going to be insane.
I think you're the first person to say that on the history of.
I don't know. Nice I've been talking, dude. But it is. It's not bad. They're doing renovations and it's close to like people who live here. But I think fan-wise, like engagement, and that's kind of that wasn't really a thing in St. Pete. I guess every now and again it would be, but now I feel like they're going to get a lot of fans, a lot of rainouts too. But it's another story.
You're the mayor of Orlando. What do you think about that?
I want him in Orlando, so come on over. Come on over.
It's getting closer.
That's right. That's slowly working their way closer to Orlando.
Yeah, that's always there you go. Debate. People in Tampa will jump way quicker to even a last-minute game experience
For sure.
You can't do that. You can't, right? I mean, explain. You
don't want to
do
cross
that
the
in
causeway.
Petersburg.
You don't want to cross the causeway.
The causeway.
Yeah,
it's
no
like
way.
it's like there's like lava, and people won't go across there at a
It's
certain
wild.
time
Dude,
of day
because I
it
lived
gets
in
filled.
Tampa. Even driving home, it's not even about getting there, which also equally sucks. But getting home is crazy because like getting onto the freeway to go over the bridge is like the traffic is insane. It just takes forever, so no one's really willing to go. And I think too, if you can sell out hockey in Tampa, Florida, you can. I think baseball's got a shot. Like, it just seems, because those hockey games are insane. They're always sold out. I've never been to one that doesn't have, like, a ton of people there. People outside, it's nuts, and they're relatively close to each other. It just seems like a pretty good situation.
Hey, when you bought Derek Jeter's house on Davis Island, I mean, it's tough. It's a rough life you lead. To cross all those bridges, Jeter and Tom Brady's house that you had to buy on Davis Island over there.
I think some Prince bought. Who did buy Tom Brady or Jeter's house? Didn't some like super rich guy buy it and then blow it up, or not blow it up, but knock it down to build like some super mansion?
I mean, it already was a super mansion. It was like 25,000 square feet.
It wasn't bougie enough.
It's like what Kratz lives in Pennsylvania. Very similar. Very similar views out the backyard.
Yeah, there you go. It looked a little weird from the outside. Obviously, it's a sick house. No one's complaining, but it looked a little. It was a little concretey. Like it was kind of like a crazy looking. Have you seen it before? Have you ever been out here? It was gnarly. It was awesome space, but it was a crazy looking building.
AJ's been there. AJ's been there. He's
Sleepover?
wined and dined. Sleepover.
Hey, look, Derek's my best friend. Look, he once gave me a shoe sign. Derek and I are best friends, okay?
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yeah, you got those shoots by accident, Tyler, and then he kept them and made Derek sign it. That's the real story.
Yeah.
Nice.
That makes
He's an autograph hound. AJ's an autograph hound. Hey, have you seen? Yes, outside of his house, he's always like, "Hey,
Jeter, please,
will you sign?
please, Jeter,
Look.
give me a second."
I'm this guy outside
Eric.
his house with this thing. Please,
Yeah,
please sign
there
these
you go.
37 cards, please. Thank
For
you.
my kid,
Yeah.
right? Isn't
Yeah,
that
for
what
my
the autograph
son.
hounds say? Yeah, so fake. Go ahead, Kratz.
No, I was just going to ask, have you or any of your teammates seen any of the renderings of the ring you guys are going to get here in about 2 months?
No, I've only heard like rumors on it and like kind of what it looks like, and I've heard it's like insane. I heard it's just amazing. We don't get it till I think our second game in season in LA, so I think it's like still far away enough where I'm just like, I'll let the surprise build up a little more. But I know they're gonna go all out. I think too there's like some custom options. We just got an email about like you can put your signature in it and you can like choose what size you want. I think now they'll do like
What are
you
you
can choose
doing?
a pendant, a medium, or a large ring. I'm doing a large ring. Just gonna do like the whole thing with the signature and then just have that. But like does people wear World Series rings? I guess if like old time dudes will wear it to like places. Yeah, like you don't wear them. It's just I think I'm gonna like probably leave it in like my parents' house or something, or just I'm sure they'll display it or have it in my house. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm excited we're getting one for sure.
Mine's in a safe. I never wear mine. I wore it a little bit when we first
Yeah.
got it, but now it's
On a
it's just-
show, like a big show, I don't know.
If
No?
I go somewhere like super, like if it's a fancy something like really fancy, then I'll think about it. But even then, it's just like it's just I don't
In and
know.
Out Burger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too back
True,
then
that's-
it was like I think like more old time stuff. Like back in the day, people. I know some older folks too that always kind of wear them around and sport them. It's kind of like not a thing anymore. I feel like it kind of I don't know why, but people really don't wear it anymore. I don't really feel the urge to wear it either. It's kind of like because then a bunch of people are like, what is that? Let's talk about it. And I think you're kind of just trying to not cause too much attention. Maybe
You're
that's
good
the
looking
reason why.
enough, Tyler. You're good looking enough. If you had a ring on, everybody would talk to you. Right? He doesn't need the ring. They're just like, you have to be somebody. Look at you.
That's the one.
I know. But okay, so they also weren't as huge in the past. That's why people could wear them. They just had like the one little diamond in the middle, and they were the colored stone. So that's a different. All right, I have to ask you, since you still live in Tampa, do you know what this weekend is in Tampa?
Gasparilla. No, it's the 25th.
Huh.
Is that right?
Oh, it's next weekend. No, it's next weekend.
Yeah.
Have you ever done Gasparilla?
I have a few times. I'm not going to go this year. It's super fun. It's awesome, but it's very just like wake up, drink a bunch, afternoon, drink a bunch, go to bed. Like it's cool. The parade's cool.
Okay.
The float. Huh.
No, I'm asking, have you ever actually been a pirate for Gasparilla?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've like dressed up casually. I think if you're here and you're going out, you generally do something small, right? You put like a hat on or some beads or whatever. Last year I went dressed up. The year before, I did something small, nothing like too crazy. But this year I'm not even going. I don't even want to.
I
don't
got
want to
to.
be all
I got.
around all
I
of
was
it. It's
lucky
crazy.
enough. I was lucky enough one year to actually get to be on the boat, like the
Ooh.
thing,
Oh,
right?
that's what you mean.
So
Yeah,
people
that's cool.
people outside of Tampa have never heard of Gasparilla, but it's like this
I know it.
weekend thing
Mhm.
where all these people dress up as pirates and they put them on this boat, and you sail through the like Jose Gaspar, who's allegedly discovered Tampa, and you sail through the bay and you end up at the convention center. You get on a bus and you get on these floats and you walk down Bayshore and you pass out beads and you just drink.
It's Tampa Mardi Gras.
It's Tampa Mardi Gras, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They start you at like 6 a.m. They put makeup on you. You're like unrecognizable. You have this whole get up on. They want it to be unrecognizable because you just don't know what's going to happen. And it was one of the best times of my life. It was one day and it was unbelievable. It was so fun, but it was so bad.
Do we have photos?
I have photos on my phone. I didn't share any because I didn't know we were going to go
Going
there,
on that actual ship would be pretty cool. Like that, I think that would be a fun time.
Okay, so there's like 400 people on this boat, all dressed up in their thing, and my buddy who did it took me back in the back, and they had beers stacked up, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of beers. And he goes, they have enough beers for 20 per guy on the boat, 20 per, and it's like an hour boat ride, and they expect you to. I'm like, there's no way.
Whoa.
And it's a miracle no one's fallen off and like died.
Right.
This boat.
Are they doing like hard alcohol in there too, or is it just
Oh,
beer?
anything you want. Anything you want.
No rules. Florida.
And then you walk down the street and everybody hands you a drink because you're dressed up like a pirate and you're supposed to give them the beads.
Yeah.
It's like this whole thing.
Oh, I've heard about it.
It's unbelievable.
All the college kids in a lot of college kids in Florida, all across Florida. Like I was in Miami, Tyler, and I never went, but a lot of kids would go up there for that weekend. And they said it was Mardi Gras in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ty,
All right, well, good. We learned a lot.
You dress up. You dress up as a pirate. You say you dress up as a pirate casually. Well, you played as a pirate casually for a few years too. So
True.
which is better, your dress up as a pirate or your play as a pirate?
My stats and how I performed was way worse than going to Gasparilla for sure. But like experience as a pirate, there's some good and some bad. It's kind of the same. There's some good bad with Gasparilla, good bad with the Pirates. It's kind of a mixed bag. I'd say my experience with the Pirates is probably better than Gasparilla, but that's just my opinion. Some people love it, like AJ loves it.
AJ loves it, but AJ loves to do anything like one time. Sometime I'm going to see AJ up here in Philly doing the Mummers Parade. Nobody knows what the Mummers are, but it's
20 beers deep.
Hell
20 beers deep.
Yeah.
I don't know about that for AJ.
Yeah, there you
That'd
go.
be a good show.
All right, real quick. You just traveled a little bit. Did you or did you not travel to the same place that I traveled to in Africa?
Where did you go? Someone just told me you went.
Yeah, we were in Botswana. We were down in South Africa. We did safari. We did Victoria Falls. I saw your picture there at Victoria Falls. Where else did you guys go?
We flew into Johannesburg, did 2 safaris there. One, where was it? Close to Zimbabwe, kind of close to Victoria Falls, and we did one at Kruger, and then we went to Victoria Falls, and then we went to Cape Town and went all around there for a while, and then went to Stellenbosch, that the winery with like all the organic. Yeah, we went there for a couple of days. It was like a 2-week thing. So safari in the first half, and then Cape Town, doing all that stuff, food and city, and then we went to the winery and then back home. It was insane. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
Unbelievable trip. One of the best trips of my life. I know AJ's done it. You did the exact same trip, including Stellenbosch, including Victoria Falls. We just did ours backwards. We did Kruger. Did you guys stay in like a tent in the safari?
We stayed at like the second one we went was a little bit more like bouge, but the first one we did was like in the middle of like kind of everyone was like native, and it was still more like it wasn't a tent. It was like not like super luxury, but like a building. And they had like not a bit like little huts for everyone, and then they had like a local watering hole. Yeah, kind of, but not as much. The second one was more glamping. The first one was a little bit more like true, and that was my favorite one. If I were to go do it again, I would rather go like do the tent thing, like actually do it and like camp the whole time. Because the only thing I didn't like, which I thought I would, was like the glampy type of it, like the food, and I kind of want to just get kind of grungy with it, you know? Is that what you did? You go tent, or did you kind of glamp it?
Yeah, I mean, it was glamping. It was glamping. I mean, it wasn't. We didn't pop up our own tent, but it was legit. The watering hole. Elephants came down to the watering hole. A croc attacked an elephant at the watering hole while we were there. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
That's cool. We saw some kills and stuff, not as they were happening. We saw them after. So we just saw like lions eating buffalo and stuff. But my one goal was to see lions have sex, and it happened, and it was great.
Now we're talking. All right. By the way, I was Insta stalking you the other day once I knew you were coming on. Okay, and you also were in Thailand. I was in Thailand, just my favorite place. I've been to Africa twice, so save it. But I was in Thailand for my second time in Thailand. It's probably my favorite place. But we showed the picture of you at Victoria Falls at the Angels Pool, Devils Pool, whatever you want to call it. There's two. But you had your shirt off. You had your six-pack. Do you have a better body than Scott Braun? And if you say yes, I need both shirts off because I want to see it on the show. Who has the better six-pack? You or Scott Braun? Let's go.
You got to go find it on Instagram or something. I'm not doing it. I'm not making it on here.
Exactly. I'm sure we'll do the photo side by side. We're not doing it right now. And we got to hit the commercial anyway. So, Tyler, this was great, dude.
Tyler, this is unbelievable. Thank you.
You're the man. We'll get you back.
Appreciate you.
All right? Cheers, man.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Later.
See ya.
Hey, we're back.
Thanks, who doesn't want to see Scott and Tyler have a six-pack off? I do. I want to see it. I need to see that.
I would rather see two lions going after.
Oh, would you? You would. You would.
Hey, Tyler said he was looking for it. He found it. He got what he was looking for.
Right? That's what. Listen.
Yeah.
I love the real Lion If you actually go on his Insta, he actually travels a lot of places.
He does. Yeah.
I love it because for someone that goes a lot of places.
But you did that when you played too, which not many
which is
players
what he's
do.
doing. Yeah. I went to the first one to Africa in 2010, like forever ago.
And it's good for a reset.
Oh yeah, and I did the same trip. I mean, I did the same thing Kratz and him were talking about. I did Cape Town and Stellenbosch and the whole thing.
Man, that was fun. But
I went and did a little.
I gotta say, we got some info at the top there. The Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki phone call. That's good.
That's some dirt. Ken Rosenthal can't even get that dirt.
Into that. Sorry about it. That's the baseball TMZ that I sign up for because it's called Foul Territory.
Our safari guide, I asked him what was the coolest and worst thing they've seen as a safari guide. He said that both happened in the same day at the same time. He got to see a giraffe give birth, and as the baby giraffe came out, a lion came and swiped it away. He said it was the best and worst thing he's ever seen live in the safari.
It happens. That's called real life.
It's called nature.
Survival of the fittest. That's real. That's life. That's a circle of life. Right there.
Powerless
sad.
on
Super
that
sad if you're the giraffe, but if you're the lion family, you're like, okay.
Cool. We eat tonight.
Yeah.
Oof. Some tears out there right now. But if you want to feel better, Alana Rizzo and Clint Pasillas have a show coming soon. So just letting everyone know.
I wonder if they know who was at the Roki Sasaki meeting.
You want to know who was there?
I wonder if they know.
Oh,
Alana's,
we'll
Alana's list of 5 at the meeting would be way different. It would be like Teoscar's wife, Teoscar's dog, and
Justin Turner.
Agent. Oh, and Justin Turner would also be there.
Even though he's not there anymore, but good ambassador. All right, we're coming back for Slap Hands. Wow, what a day. What a show. All right, let's slap for a quick
Dude, that was an
moment.
epic interview with Glasnow.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, we covered so many things that didn't have anything to do. We never even asked him how he was feeling. It was great. You know what? That might be my favorite. We've done 499 episodes. That might be my favorite interview because we didn't talk about baseball hardly at all.
Wait, but
like the actual throw the ball and catch the ball.
Okay.
We talked baseball, but not really. I was like, you know what? That's my new one.
But I too enjoyed that one thoroughly because we got the tea on the Roki Sasaki conversation.
That's what I said. We talked baseball, but we didn't talk about how do you think about throwing?
Sure. Yes. I will say sometimes it's nice to hear you guys talk about the game because you guys are smart.
We've talked about the game for an hour and 40 minutes. And we got 10 minutes to not talk about it.
I think most people were pleased with the performance. All right, Kratz hats. I think it's pretty obvious why you're wearing that hat today. But would you like to explain it?
I mean, it's super trolling, but yeah. Spring training hat. Spring training's coming up, but I mean, have to wear the Blue Jays hat on a day like today with the possible move that the Jays are doing. The North is back. The 6 is here.
Pete Alonso's Blue Jays?
Oof. We'll see.
We have that on the bingo card for the year.
Right? Pete signs, Vladdy flips to the Mets the year after? Or
what would that take?
As some say, he's already a Red Sox.
Let's not get crazy, people.
Get us off the air. Episode number 500 tomorrow.
You guys enjoy. Good luck.
Thank you. All right, we're back. Yeah, it's a tough act to follow today. Sometimes Dodgers territory has
especially
a lot
when we
momentum,
get the Dodger guest.
Sorry about it. We scooped
Sorry,
you.
Alana. You're going to
got
get this
Glasnow. Hopefully they lead off the show with the Glasnow Roki Sasaki conversation. I'm serious. And Tyler downplays it because he is humble and he's like, oh, we just had a quick combo. But then we did later learn, he told him, if development's your thing and you want to get all the tools and scouting necessary to be your best, this is the place. He comes from the Rays, a team also known for that. And he's talking up even the difference from the Dodgers to the Rays. And Roki Sasaki is not getting paid yet. So he does need to prove himself and develop as a young pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Those phone calls matter. I mean, he might already have been predetermined before any of this, but that's a meaningful phone call. And that is why Tyler Glasnow was on my top 5 ambassadors to be at the invite.
He didn't have to be. He was on the phone. That's
exactly. But full circle, good ambassador.
No, he's great. I wish we could have him on all the time.
Man,
you could talk about anything, not baseball, which is awesome.
He is good. Yeah, I agree.
Not that I don't like talking about baseball, but there's also times when we need to talk about something else. And you could see the smile on his face. He was like, yeah, I got drunk at Gasparilla.
Yeah,
I loved Africa. Yeah, I love this. Like, yeah.
No, it was good. It was good. Well done. But also, I think, Kratz, there are very few that you talk to and say, oh, I don't even know we're doing the interview. We're just having a conversation. And also, I will say, it's not easy to do that. You and me are here. Kratz is there. Tyler's there. And no one's really jumping on each other to have a conversation. So good job.
Great job. 499 down.
Yeah. Who's mad today? Producer lady.
Why?
Because she had me do this whole thing about, because I'm not going to be on tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's 500. So what's my favorite moment? She didn't get to show it.
Oh,
so
but we're going to do it.
When?
What do you mean?
What do you mean we're going to do it? We're off the air in 5 seconds.
Can we record it and show it tomorrow?
Hell no. I don't get paid for overtime.
On your phone?
Oh.
Your contract says occasional.
Plus, now I apparently have the pneumonia.
Yeah, your contract says occasional selfie videos to show how much you love the show.
That does not say that.
I think it says that exact verbiage.
I don't think it says that at all.
I saw it.
Your lawyer said not phone, selfie. He prefers selfie. And I was like, okay, fine.
Well, it's weird because every time when I film one of those for Instagram, the pregame things, that counts. So I've well gone over my limit.
Oh, the promo.
Yeah,
the show.
see?
Hey, follow us on Instagram. We put really stupid stuff on there. We'll see you on Dodgers territory if you want to watch. Otherwise, see you on episode number 500 of FT. Bye.